Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 28th of December 2021. Merry Christmas and soon Happy New Year. I hope everyone is doing really well and you had lots of time to spend with your family and some friends. Here everything is good. We've had a huge amount of rain here yesterday, but today the sun is shining, which is nice. So we've got a pretty stable, about 27 degrees Celsius today. Kids are on holiday, so we're kind of out and about just enjoying being together, not really having to go anywhere. Before we dive into the charts, I just want to talk a little about maybe something we can think about for the new year, and that is I think it's important during a time where everyone is quite fearful of what's going on. We're being beaten over the head all the time on our televisions and our radios, telling us that we should be fearful and we should do things to help counter this fear. But a lot of the solutions that we are being told are solutions are not doing anything for the fear. They're just forcing us to do things that we may otherwise not would have done. Okay, I'm not going to talk about anything specific because YouTube doesn't like that apparently, but I just want you to remember that you always have a choice. You always have a choice. And nobody can force you to do something that you're uncomfortable doing. And if you have a belief, be it religious, a health reason for not doing something, or any other reason, just maybe you're uncomfortable with doing something that you're being told that you should do, then you shouldn't be doing it. Okay, there's always a solution, there's always a way out of it. And currently we're being told that there's only one thing that we can do, and once we do it, everything will go back to normal. Which is a lie. It's probably one of the biggest lies that we've ever been told collectively from our governments, and that is that if we do this one thing, then everything will go back to normal. And a lot of people have done this one thing and nothing has gone back to normal. And so we know that we're being lied to. We know that this is an attempt to do something to a very large number of people, and there's a lot of desperation, there's a lot of fear being portrayed to us via our, like the media channels and the radio and the news. And so I think the best thing that everyone can do for the coming year is to turn off our radios, to turn off our televisions, and just focus on the things that we can control. And that is how we act as human beings, how we interact with other people, the amount of time, quality time we spend with our friends and our family, and do that. And just focus on the things that you want to focus on from a place of love and not fear. Okay, because decisions made in fear, unless you're being confronted by a tiger, which most of us are no longer doing, they're normally not good decisions. And so enabling ourselves to disconnect from the mountain of fear that we're being served constantly will enable us to make better decisions. Okay, and so I encourage everyone to turn off your televisions and your radios, stop reading the news, because there's one thing in the news and it's getting really boring. Okay, and so focus on the things that we can change and not the things that are out of our hands, and that is how we want to live as human beings. Okay, and so now we're going to move to the charts. Okay, and today we're going to have a look at several different instruments. Okay, so starting off on the Euro American dollar, if we have a look on the weekly chart, where are we relative to the weekly supply and demand? When the chart loads, we'll see that we are in the middle of an area of weekly demand. And you know this is demand because, last time price was at this area. Okay, last time we were here, we managed to move above these sensitive highs. And you can see this is the area of supply just here. And the reason this is the one we're interested in is because we had an area of value, price dipped lower, we came back, so we tried to go lower, we failed, and the move below this point here originated from here. Okay, so area of supply was formed, we established the sell zone, and then we made a very efficient move lower for quite some time, and then we started to see an awful lot of volatility. And you see stuff like this. This is a very common pattern at the end of a move where price will do something where price goes down like this, and we'll form a low, and we'll form a high, we'll form a lower low, and then we'll kind of stabilize, and then move up, and then down, and then the move begins. Okay, and you see something like this often happening at a very low point, or like the end of a move, and you see it just here. Okay, and this is just what the market has to do in order to release liquidity into the market that can then be used to move price in the direction that it's supposed to go, which in this case was higher. Okay, and this is just a very clear a sign of that here. Okay, so price came from the lows. We tried to challenge these highs here. We failed several times. This is the origin of the move that actually moved through it. Okay, we started to form the buy zone here a little bit deeper, and we kind of formed this area of supply. Price cut through it. There's something in here, we can't see what it is. We can see it's being tested. This one removed it, and then we went down to this area here. Okay, and so this is the obvious place where we look to buy. And you get out of the trade once price moves back up to this area here. So price is very likely going to wriggle higher to rebalance this price inefficiency here. We have a few bumps in the road. There's probably something in here, maybe a few continuation patterns lower, but this is what we can see on the weekly chart for the weekly. So buying at demand is a good idea for the time being. If we have a look at the British pound American dollar. So we have something similar here where we had a price sensitive area tested several times. Okay, it's now been removed, it's been consumed, violated, whatever you want to call it, and the origin of the move that did that is, it's actually, we do have a buy zone here, this one here, because this is kind of where the slingshot came from, and then we moved through it, but we're going to have some micro areas in here, and so we want to look at the lows, these buy zones, as the wicks kind of pull back and then snap back. You can see we have something in here. We have some pullbacks, another pullback back into this white candle. This is a bit of demand because here we had some supply that was tested. This one removed through it, slingshot went back, and so this is where price is likely to come to in the future. Okay, and it came kind of roughly to it. It came back to this white candle just here. Now we're wriggling higher from here. And so if we look up here, you can see as well that we had some areas where price was struggling, testing here, here. Price moved through it. The origin of that move is somewhere in here. Okay, and so there's something in here. We've got this. Okay, and then we've got something in here as well that was tested just here. It's difficult to see what it is. Okay, but this has been tested one time here, and now it's been removed by this just here, which we can't really see the details of on this time frame, but price is poking into that area here. But I'm thinking that price is likely going to rebalance this price inefficiency, maybe return back to here, but this is not a pretty area because this is just really efficient trading. There's no price inefficiencies here. Okay, price goes back to the origin almost every time, and so ideally you want to go above that before we start to sell, which brings our attention to this nice area of supply just up here. Okay, so this could be an interesting place to begin to sell, but shorter term I think that we could find some support for price as price wriggles higher from here. Just here, okay, but note that we are reaching this support becomes resistant price point, so we're probably going to get some reactions there, so careful there. Okay, here on the American dollar, Japanese yen, we zoom out a little on this one. So we have a lot of, okay, looking at the American dollar, Japanese yen, we've seen some strength in the American dollar, which is very clear on this chart. Notice that we've had some trouble moving through this area historically. Then price finally broke. Okay, so this is a really nice place to begin to sell. We were here last time and price didn't really even go into this area, and so this would be a very nice place to look to sell should price come up here, which it probably will. That's pretty small. I can't read that. Maybe the 119-ish area. That'd be a pretty interesting area, I think, to begin to sell at. We do have some sell zone stuff going on here, where price has really struggled at these levels historically, so there's probably something in here. Price tested it. This is the high, the absolute high of these pullbacks prior to the release, and now we're just kind of revisiting those areas, so we're probably going to start to see something like this, and the histogram is going to be doing something like that at around these price points. Okay, so let's have a look here. This could be a revisit. Yeah, we're seeing it pretty clearly. So, I mean, we're going to see on the histogram, we have price going higher. We have these lows removed. We have price inefficiencies below price. Here, and here, and here. And we have the highs, and then price cutting lower. Probably revisiting the backside of that. And this, again, is that kind of thing that we're seeing just here. Okay, where price is, okay, we drew the daily area of supply. We had this one, price went down, we went high, we went lower, and now we're revisiting that. Then we'll probably stabilize and maybe move lower and begin to revisit these areas of demand that are responsible for trading above these historically tested areas here and here and here. So this would be a nice place to square up the position there. Okay, going to the Australian dollar, American dollar. There's a lot of reason to believe that this is going to continue to move lower. We have price inefficiencies down here. We have we had this tested, removed by this tested. We have probably daily demand here tested, now removed by something in here. Maybe something in here. So this would be a nice place to begin to sell the Australian dollar and buy back American dollars, because I see this continuing to move lower because of this, all of this here. I mean, price needs to revisit these low price windows here, because we do have a lot of inefficiency in price at these price points, and so beginning to sell up here would be good. I'm thinking if we have a look at some daily areas, so isn't the weekly chart just pretty, because it just removes all the noise? But if you look here, we just have to find these, which are a little bit more difficult to find. So if we had something here, tested, the area that removed it was here. Okay, we tested it here. We tested, okay, so this was the parent, this is the child, another child, price removed it. The origin of the move that moved through here is here. You can see the reason I'm pointing this one is because this is where we saw price bounce. Okay, so I'm not just pulling them out of thin air, and then price tested it. And so what we could do, if this gets removed, which it looks like we're looking to do, we're kind of moving up to the area, we're kind of sitting on the area, and then this is sometimes when price pops up and just moves higher. So maybe we're looking to move through that. Then we would look to buy the demand that did that. But we also have kind of price inefficiencies here, so I'm thinking the price will probably just move higher before it continues lower, and the obvious place for that to happen is here. The release point is here, the sell zone, and so just follow price up here and sell and follow it lower to rebalance these price inefficiencies we have below price. Okay, going to the Euro Singapore dollar, which is of interest to me. I mean, we were really high, and now we've really moved low to these very, very low points. And so, I mean, I would like this to continue to move lower. But we do have, okay, we had this area of supply. We failed to get to it. We just reacted to the sell zone. And here we had kind of something ugly in here, a child. We tested it several times, lower lows, and then we started to break down. We cut through this, and this was important because when price was here, we managed to move above here, which was tested several times. That is done. Now this one has been removed, and it was tested, which qualifies it. So we've got maybe something in here, and so I think that price will probably maybe have a little run lower, and then begin to revisit either this one here or this one here before it continues a continuation lower to, we have this nice base here. We have the buy zone just here. That would be a really nice place to square up any long positions, because this is pretty low. Okay, so that would be really nice. So, I mean, selling at supply, and ideally this one here. So you could take long positions down to this, sorry, to this buy zone just here, where we currently are. So looking for price to print some, so print some lower lows in price and higher lows on the histogram. That's going to be a very clear indication that price is going to begin to rebalance what we can see in here. And so buying down in here and selling at the supplies that removed this demand just here. That would be an interesting trade, I think. Going to Bitcoin. What's going on Bitcoin? Wow, Bitcoin. We have a lot of price inefficiency below in Bitcoin. We still have this one here. That's really less about 20. It's really small, about $20,000. So if we look at that, why that's interesting. This is interesting because we had this tested several times. We had another test here. Departure kind of went up into it here. This is one that removed it. The buy zone is here. Price has not been back to that. We had this here. This was removed by by something in here, which was tested. And what do we have above? And let's go to the daily chart so we can get some clarity. But you can see that we're testing this area here. The price needs to rebalance. The thing with crypto, sometimes it moves in a way that we wouldn't expect because there's so much speculation in Bitcoin. I mean, less so in currencies. Speculation accounts for about 15% of the liquidity in currency exchange, where speculation is pretty much all of the liquidity available in Bitcoin. People are speculating on the price of cryptocurrencies, which is why it doesn't always do what we would expect it to do, or what we see traditional currencies and commodities do. But we do have, see, this is something that we have this. We had a test. This one removed it. It was tested. Now this one removed it. So I think when price is probably going to come down to here, move up to here, and then begin to challenge these lows. We had this. It was removed by this, which was tested. So I see it coming down to here. What's that? The 41. Oh, that's really small. I can't see that. Maybe you guys can zoom in on your charts and see, but maybe coming down to around to this one here. Okay, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, like I said, cryptocurrencies don't move like other assets because this is pure speculation. What we do have a lot of buy zone activity here for this area of demand. That would be a really nice pullback, but we don't know if we're going to get there. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of expectation that the Bitcoin and other cryptos are going to go parabolic beginning of the year, so we'll have to wait and see. But focusing on liquidity distribution patterns, this is what we can see. It should be moving lower to this based on what we can see on the chart from here. Okay, but we'll have to see if that happens. But that's what the chart is telling us. So that's, again, that was maybe important to reiterate. We have to pay attention to what the chart is telling us, not what we think is going to happen or not what other people think is going to happen. Okay, because the whales, as they call them, they are interested in transacting at discount prices. This would be a nice place to sell. This would be a nice place to buy for the reasons we discussed a second ago. So try and focus on that. Okay, we have this one, Ethereum American dollar. Kind of the same thing going on here, where we have, okay, let's zoom out, go here, we've got this price tested here. We left, we tested the child here, we left, we've got this below price, and price essentially cut away from here, just here. Okay, we were tested, we went up, we came down, we went back up, we came down, and then we left. Boom. Then we came down, and now we're doing this pretty inefficient stuff here. Buy zone. We have this price is kind of running up. We had this area of weekly demand here. Price poked into it. All right, so as you can see, we're pretty high. We moved above these highs. What does this look like on the histogram? So maybe you're gonna have a bit of a pullback. That would be quite nice, I think. Let's have a look on the daily chart. Okay, so on this time frame, which is the daily chart, we had this. Okay, it was removed by this. Okay, we tested it, we went up, and now we're kind of doing something like, I mean, this, if we look at that here, we're doing something like price kind of comes down into it. Now we're slowly doing that. And we're having trouble kind of moving away because we have sell zones here and supply up here, which are responsible for doing something around these lows in here. Okay, and so ideally we can expect price to go higher, but we have some bumps in the road that we don't really want there. If we didn't have this stuff here, I mean, price would have a much easier time moving up to the challenge these all-time highs. But we have to move through these areas of supply, and for the bulls, I mean, hoping that there's enough onboarding of bullish liquidity that is capable of consuming this, that will cause price to move beyond these highs. And once price moves above here, I mean, this thing's gonna catapult and really move, because that's the conviction that everyone needs to believe that this is the beginning of another bull run. If we look at just what we can see here, the price structure, we also have this here. Tests a couple of times. We've got the area of demand here, so that's still pretty far away. And we also have an area of 4-hour demand here, which I like. So let's have a look at that. I've been talking about this for a long time, the 3100 area right there, or the 33,030 area. That's a really nice area. And we have the buy zone kind of starting around, kind of around here, at the maybe 3250 area. Price and efficiency, that would be a really nice area for price to come up at, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we're gonna rebalance this and this before we come down here. I don't know, but we do have, I mean, price is gaining traction. We do have, we have that push lower, higher, lower. You know, price is beginning to form demand, as we saw, and pop north. And we're just kind of, maybe, I don't know what will happen, but maybe price will wriggle up to rebalance what we can see here and here, or maybe it will go down and visit the 30 area. That would be this would be a really nice place for Ethereum to really begin to move, because then we have kind of all of this dealt with. We have the origin here, you know, we have the origin of the move, we have the buy side over here, we have the sell side over here. So ideally we should only be selling according to this price structure. This would be about 79% Fibonacci if you're into that, maybe even a little bit deeper, 88. The 60s are around maybe here, where we've been pretty close to. The 50 is around here, which we kind of went past, and so that would be a super deep retracement and maybe enough rebalancing for the shorter term to encourage, rather draw some buys into the market. But we'll have to see what happens. I'm watching this very closely myself. And then we have my charts. 74 keeps crashing, so I keep having to really find everything. Litecoin, where are I on Litecoin? So Litecoin on the weekly chart, we look like that. We have this test, demand, tested. We got demand here, tested, we tested it again. So maybe price is gonna have another revisit to this area and continue higher. That's one scenario. The other scenario is that price moves through and revisits this area here, which was tested. This is the demand, the beginning of the buy zone, so we revisit the buy zone, and then from here we could fly. We could really move higher here, challenging this sell zone and whatever is up in here supply wise. But this could be a really nice place. What is that, about the $92 area to get back in? I don't know if we're going to get down there. We'll see what the others do. Bitcoin is a leading indicator for the other cryptocurrencies, so we could see price follow suit, but we'll have to wait and see. It's difficult to say. But a couple of areas to watch: this one here or this one here. Maybe zoom in to get a close look at. The top one is 136 and the bottom one is about $92. If we go to the daily chart, I feel like I've kind of spoken about this enough. Yeah, it looks like that. Okay, XRP, the last one for today. The weekly chart, where are we? Okay, so doing the same thing. Where's price had trouble moving? Here. Where do we move from? Here. Tested, child, tested. So we've rebalanced. We could revisit the whatever that price is there. I can't read it. But we could revisit this area here. This is the price inefficiency. The inefficiency goes all the way down to this demand, to the buy zone, and so that could be a really nice area for price to come back to. But again, I don't know if it's going to happen. If we have a look, okay, so I'm looking at the S&P 500 now on the monthly chart. I mean, where would price go during a crash? We can see that we have some buy zones and we have some supply being consumed. The lowest point that I think price could go is the 1500 area. This is where we saw resistance here, and then this is not just resistance, this is huge selling, liquidity, moving price lower. We have buyers, that buying being overrun by the selling. Price moves back down. We move back down here. This is the crash in 8. Price efficiently begins to move higher. Then we start to form this. Then we start to print some green months, and price moves north. And then we start to move higher and higher. We have this weird pattern where price kind of extends out like this, like so. This is where price is it's trying to find like value, so it kind of shoots higher and lower and higher and lower until we kind of onboard all the market participants that are looking to get on board. So we had to move low, high, low, like so, like this, and we finally managed to find some interest at this price point here, the 2200 area, and then price went north. And so when this crash comes, we're likely gonna go to here or around here, the 1600 area, 1500 area, because this is where we have historical areas of value. This is considered a place that is an attractive price for selling and buying, because people were transacting there, and price went up to it. We moved through it. We didn't really get back to it. We got close to it, but we did form this here. Price just went north, and we haven't looked back since. We had one test not that long ago to this area, the $2,200, and so once price dumps, it's going to dump so hard, I think, that we're gonna give back probably 50% of the market, just in order to rebalance things, because this is outrageous. So we'll have to wait and see. If we have a look at kind of like a quantitative analysis of that, if we look at the correlation of historical prices relative to current prices, there is a very, very, very high degree of correlation between historical prices and current prices in the S&P 500. And you can see this, all these dots, they are telling us that we have current time, and here we have time plus 1. And so we have the fact that they are clustered together on this linear. This linear regression is telling us that we have a very, very high degree of correlation between historical data points and current data points. And so I think that when this crash occurs, we'll have an outlier like that. These are like historical historical points here. This is probably like a bit of a crash. Here we have another one that doesn't really represent anything historical. We have another thing here, maybe another one here, but the one that we see coming is going to be very, very far away from that, I think. So that'll be interesting to see. And if we look here, you can see, I mean, how far back we can go in order to find this correlation. And you can go, I mean, we have a one-to-one correlation at bleeding edge, but even if you go back, this is probably 350 periods, we still have a very, very high positive correlation between lag prices, historical prices, and current price. So we can use that as an indicator to show us where we're going. And if you use like a linear regression model, like an auto regression, you could say that this model would predict future results very, very accurately, because we have such a high degree of likeliness between historical data points and current data points. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to leave it at that for the time being. If you have any questions, please let me know. Either drop them in the message or in the Discord forum. And thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely New Year's, and be careful.